Tim Yohannan, works for EMC. Hey Bill. I work for NDG. That stands for No Damn Good. So remember that. NDG, No Damn Good, okay? We're going to make this a little interactive today. We got 45 minutes, okay? I'm going to make it interactive because if you ask really good questions, we're going to make sure you get a shirt. There you go. All right? If you don't ask good questions, probably get a shirt anyway. It'll make it a little more fun, okay? So I know some folks in the crowd. I'm going to throw one out right now. My Linux course, you had a problem with an exam, and we worked through them. Thank you for your time. So we'll get you more. All right, I got a double XL. Anybody proud like me to wear double XL? Hey, we'll get you more. And I got a large. Anybody want a large? You sure you wear a large? You go all the way to the back. All right, Jim, it's all yours.
Okay, so did you get the clicker or no?
No.
Oh, we don't have one. That's okay. All right, so bring this a little closer. So anyway, so we're going to talk, did this expand at all, or is this the size of the screen? Well, I know they have different things going on here. Hold on. Right here? Yeah, okay. I wanted to make sure. Okay, great. So welcome, everyone. Thanks. Again, as Rich mentioned, many of you know Rich. We're going to just be presenting this session. So I'm going to talk a little bit about EMC, and specifically our cloud course, and how that fits into overall EMC's training and certification program. So a little bit different. Instead of leading with our Academic Alliance program, kind of talking a little bit about the industry, what's happening, and then, okay, how that supports, why we have our Academic Alliance program, and then supporting how it ties into our partnership with NDG and Rich Week. And like Rich, I didn't bring T-shirts, but at the end I do have this Zoom power thing to raffle off. If you give me your business card, it's like a portable charger to do a laptop, you know, anything with USB. Sorry, not a laptop, but a tablet type thing, an iPad type thing. So I'll raffle that off at the end, and then I also brought a couple of the ISM textbooks, even though this is the cloud. And specifically speaking about our cloud course, I did bring 2 of our ISM textbooks to raffle. And sorry I'm wearing my jacket, but I'm cold, but then I take it off and I'm too cold. So I may take it off as we're going. So our Cloud Infrastructure and Services course, I did want to highlight, so if you're not super familiar with EMC, are most of you kind of familiar? Okay, good. So anyways, specifically around, I'm part of the Education Services group, so specifically around our training and certification, what a lot of people don't know is our training and certification program, we've been on the Training Top 125. We've had Learning Elite, we've had the Star Award. So in particular, EMC is very, within the IT industry, very well known for having a very strong training and certification program. It sounds like most of you know about EMC, but if you don't, I mean, I don't have the latest, because at the end of every year, you know, they wait a while to kind of finally release everything for 2014, but, oh, good job. I'm so impressed, Rich, thanks. We were about not quite, you know, $23 billion company, and for this year, I think we're on target, if not close to being a little over $24 billion. We're 60,000 employees in 80 countries. EMC historically has been very well known for investing each year $1 billion, if not more, dollars in our R&D. So we're really good about giving back and just reinvesting in the company. Let's see. Oh, is it not a presentation? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, thanks. There we go. Okay, thanks. It's not my clicker, so. Uh-oh. What did I do now? Oh, it's funny. You have to go side to side instead of down. Right. Okay. So anyways, I like to put this up here. We did a survey, EMC did. We have like our mini EMC worlds, which we call the forums, which we do around the world. And we did a survey in 2013 to about 9,000 of the attendees saying, do we think that IT skills are keeping pace with IT innovation? And no surprise, I mean, people felt that it was keeping pace. And most people agreed that the IT skills are not keeping pace with the IT innovation. I mean, if you look here, we already have over 75%. 20% neither agreed or disagreed with this, and only 5% disagreed. So I think it is very clear that the industry is changing so quickly and it's innovating so quickly. How are we keeping pace with that? And so EMC has done a study every year with IDC where we go around and we have been doing this, I think, for over 5 years now, where we're saying, okay, what's the growth of digital information and what's the impact on the growth as it relates to IT skills? And so if we think about in 2014 that there was 230 GB for each IT pro. We have about 28 million of them. There's going to be 8 million more by 2020, which is a huge amount, but it's going to be over 1,200 GB and 36 million of them. But the key thing I think here is that the skills from today versus the skills right in 2020 is going to be very much different. And I think if most of you raise your hands, I mean, what you were teaching 10 years ago, probably mostly networking, hasn't it changed? Aren't you teaching VMware, server virtualization? I mean, you probably never even considered teaching storage 10 years ago. But today, if you were teaching server virtualization, be it Citrix or VMware, you need a strong storage knowledge for those students to do well. And many of the schools that are in our academic, that join our Academic Alliance program in the last 3 years, in particular, I would say, we're very interested in doing VMware because that's sexy, that's exciting, that's what everybody wants. But they start teaching it and they realize their students are really struggling because they don't understand storage. So that has kind of changed. And then more people said, hey, we're going to do the EMC program and then follow on with the VMware VC ICM course. Hey. So EMC training and certification, we're a little bit unique as opposed to most IT companies, really being because EMC has what we start out with as our open learning curriculum, so that's technology-based courses. And that's where the course, the cloud infrastructure and services course fits in. So it's not based on our product. Obviously, we do have our technology-specific learning tracks, and then we have our certification program. So that's really what makes up our training and certification. And obviously, the reason EMC has this, or any IT company, is we really want to have customer readiness, because we all know, even with our students, that better trained customers, you know, use your products more, can get more out of it, they get better return on their investment, which is the whole reason to have training and certification. And how does that align with CIO spending? So if we think about 2014, where CIOs were spending their money, we have big data problems. So companies have all this big data and they want to create new innovation from it, right? And really it's around having foresight versus hindsight when you think about business analytics. So security, no surprise there, storage, virtualization, and cloud computing. So that's where they were really focused last year. I think it's probably going to align similarly this year. And if you think about EMC, where is EMC investing? What is EMC being known for? Where do we know we need to stay relevant in the industry? It's leveraging cloud, big data, flash, converged infrastructure, and obviously RSA. We own RSA. And where does that align with our open courses, so those technology-based courses? So we have our information storage and management. We have our cloud infrastructure and services, which we're going to speak more about. As a follow-on to this, we have our data science and big data analytics, and we have a backup recovery systems and architecture course. And all of these are technology-based, so they're not specific to EMC products. And there are a couple of folks here that are in our program and using it. I'll call them Bill from Orange Coast, who's in the audience, and several others who's been using our storage course for a number of years, and they're looking to start using the cloud course. So here's what the courses cover. If you're interested in the storage course, I have a couple of those books. We do not have a textbook for the cloud infrastructure and services course, so it's our commercial courseware that we provide, like a PDF document for you and the PowerPoints and all the instructor materials for delivering those courses, and then the data science and big data analytics course. And this particular course, we are coming out with a textbook from Wiley this year. So it's like this one is coming out this month that we'll have. And the data science course is the only course that comes from EMC that we provide labs. So we give you a large 20 gig VM for the schools, and you have to have the infrastructure, which is no surprise, some heavy servers, because you need a lot of computing power. And one of the reasons we partner with NDG for the storage and the cloud course, because EMC's focus when we did these open technology-based courses was to say, hey, we don't want it to be product specific. If you want to take one of our product classes, for schools to try to adopt that and have the infrastructure to run the courses is not realistic. If you look at EMC's training and certification, we're not set up like VMware where we have authorized training partners delivering all of our courses, and that's because of the hardware requirements you need. So all of the courses that you would take from EMC are going to be delivered by EMC. So that's unique. And that's why the first two courses, the ISM and the cloud, do not have labs, nor does the backup course. But you know, I've been doing this role for 6 years, and what do schools want? They want applied learning. They want labs. Right? So that posed a really big hurdle for us, and so it really was great that we were able to partner with NDG, given their success with the Cisco program, and many of you, I'm sure, if you raise your hands, are using the NETLAB Plus box. And so after Rich had started partnering with VMware to support their install, configure, and manage course, it was a really natural fit for them to include storage. And the nice way about that we've done it is that you can open source tools like FreeNAS and OpenFiler. So it allows you to still get that storage experience for the students in the lab without having to go invest in a lot of equipment. And then with the cloud course, again, because of the relationship with VMware, EMC owning majority share and NDG already having that partnership, that lab would heavily use VMware products, which if many people are already teaching install, configure, and manage would be a nice fit. And again, using the open virtual storage appliance products. And so if we think about the cloud course and how it fits in, one thing I wanted to share with you is, okay, so if you were to adopt this cloud course, why would it be important and how would it fit into EMC's overall structure? So we have a whole cloud architect track, and this 5-day course about the lab support here is for all IT professionals. We would say anyone who is in IT needs to take this course, be it an IT project manager, someone in the field, an engineer, because really it's going to teach you about, okay, here's a traditional data center, virtualized data center, IT as a service, kind of following that evolution. But how it fits is EMC has a follow-on virtualized data center and cloud infrastructure. That's our specialist level. The cloud, the CIS for short, is our associate level, our specialist, and our expert IT as a service. So those really fit into the architects and designers. We also have a 90-minute free e-learning course that anyone can access, students, professors. So you don't have to do anything special to access. That's 90 minutes. And then we also have this 1-day course as well. That's not available, but not to let the cat out of the bag, but Rich and I are talking about some kind of pilot. That wouldn't necessarily have labs, but that would provide access to that 1-day course, because some of the feedback we get obviously from a lot of folks is, hey, we're not ready to take on a 5-day course. We'd like something smaller, right, to start with and include in a class. And so what is and we just now recently updated our CIS version 2 content. So you'll see this V2 because it just got a recent release of the content. So it's really, these are the core objectives that it covers: describe cloud computing, its deployment and service models, the reference model and the key considerations to building the cloud infrastructure, the key components and processes required, the physical, the virtual, the control, and the service layers for it. And then finally, the last key objective here is the service orchestration, business continuity, security, and service management for it. And then these are the 9 modules. It originally was 11 modules, so having been out for about 2 years, hey, we really have gotten a lot of feedback. To really kind of update, make it tighter, especially as the industry is starting to mature a little and more people are moving in this direction and have already done the adoption. I did want to say, these slides should be available after. Here's the link to the free IT as a Service 90-minute module. We also have a free 90-minute module on our data science e-learning as well that you would be able to get access to. One thing I wanted to highlight here, these are some quotes just from EMC customers or partners about what's the value of the cloud. And I really think this one here up at the top, I'm not going to read all of these, really speaks to why this is important and why anyone that's an IT professional would benefit. What he says here is the important as our customers have more than EMC technology installed. I mean, we're not going to get into a homogeneous environment. Becoming a cloud architect gives me credibility with our customers, and that will allow me to convey the value proposition of moving to the cloud from a business perspective. Also, this is getting a little dated, but I think still relevant, which is IDC said that in 2012, more than 1.7 million jobs related to cloud computing went unfulfilled due to a lack of training certification. And I think it'll be really interesting with the founder of Pearson VUE speaking tomorrow. What does he have to say about that? I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing what he has to say about kind of the future and where it's headed. So our Academic Alliance program, when I took this role on about 6 years ago, I was just responsible for the U.S. Now I'm responsible for all of the Americas, so that includes South America, Central America, and the Caribbean, as well as obviously North America. And I started with about 30 schools in the U.S. We have over 350, and we're in all but 2 states. In Mexico, we just brought someone on board about a year ago. We had 2 schools. We now have over 50 schools. So I think, not just here in the U.S., but just thinking that this is a global program. We have, globally, we're in about 70 countries. So that just gives you an idea. I have counterparts in India, Russia, and China. It kind of just shows you EMC's commitment to the program is bigger, and that we really are, EMC is continuing to invest and sees the importance in having these academic partnerships with schools to get to the professionals as they're learning, so when they get out, we have to invest less in training. And that's not just for us. I say it's for our customers, our partners, and even, dare I say, the competition, right? Because really today, it's not really about competition, because no matter what, whether you're in, one, let's say, Citrix or VMware, all of it is complementary, really. And so I think that's a really key point. And one thing I like about coming to this conference and working with all the different academic alliance folks is that there's a lot of synergy and really focusing on the students and what's going to best prepare them. And so really our program kind of has 4 key things. We have our courseware that we provide. We give you it's all the same, and none of it's watered down. It's all the stuff we're doing from a commercial standpoint, the technology-based stuff. We do have a learning portal for students where we give additional free e-learning to students that would be product-based, because a lot of folks, students then say, hey, I want to actually learn more about the product. And I mentioned the free business transformation modules. Our community is where we disseminate, once schools join the program, is where we disseminate all the information. You download everything. The only thing that doesn't get downloaded here is the 20 gig VM for the data science course. We have to be really low-tech and ship it to you on a USB because it's so large. But anyhow, and then we last year introduced 2 new kind of end-of-course online exams for the cloud and the ISM course. So instead of, if students, it's kind of a precursor to certification. It's part of the program, and you would be the proctor and administering the exam. And then if students pass, they get a certificate saying they've completed the course. That's an EMC certificate and a student-type logo for them to use. And they are planning to do one for the data science and the backup course. And that just kind of shows you the industry recognition certificate that they would get. So how to get started, we have an online end-user license agreement for the program. And basically, you go online and you would accept those terms. It's basically us giving you a free license to use our IP. And basically what we ask in return is that you offer at least one of our 4 courses we make available once every 2 years for academic credit. So that's the key. If you're not interested in this from an academic credit perspective, we do have an EMC Learning Partner program. It's a very modest, fee to use the course in a continuing education setting. So that's something else I could speak to you about offline if you're interested in that. Basically, once you get accepted, we give you access to the community. You can download all the courses. We have free e-learning for each of the courses that you get automatically when you join. But we do partner with CASIA and NDG, and in the summers we offer online synchronous training with the labs that I think are really key from NDG, that lecture in the morning and labs in the afternoon. It's 5 days, and that's done through CASIA summer schedule that we provide, and that's been really successful. And then, I make it sound easy. I know it's not. You get trained, you schedule it, you teach it, right? I know it's not that simple. It's a process. It takes time. There's all kinds of approvals and whatnot that you have to go through to teach a course for academic credit. And really all EMC asks in return is that you tell us when you're going to teach the course and how many students are in the course. And I do it very low tech. I just send an email once a semester. Are you teaching? And so how many students? I've come to realize, I try to take the burden off the faculty. If you can't reply from your smartphone, ISM 20 students, I cannot make it any more easier for you to communicate with me, really. I mean, I take that on. I don't mind doing it, but I found actually the easiest way for people to share information. And so really we tie it into the complementary programs. I spoke a little bit about how it ties in with VMware and then NDG. And Rich is really probably the highlight here, which is what you'd really like to hear is, how do you get access to the labs? How do the labs help facilitate that? I mean, we have the curriculum that we provide, but I think really what makes it very attractive is the labs that you get through NDG, given the fact that many, if not all schools, are using that lab to do many courses. And that's one of the things that is highly attractive about partnering with NDG, is that if you're going to make an investment in a product, you can do many things with it, right? Because I know it's challenging for schools to get any kind of funding, to buy any kind of equipment is challenging. So if you're going to buy something, the fact that you can do Cisco, that you can do VMware, that you can do EMC, that now they have a Linux course, I mean, I think it's like, okay, it's like one-stop shopping. You know, it's like you go to Target now and you don't have to, you can't just get the essential things you want, but you could grocery shop. At least I'm out in Boston. All the Targets now have food, which is great. So I think that's really a key benefit. And, you know, one of the reasons that I've been speaking to Rich about us doing something else similar to what he's done with Linux, which I'm really excited about. And then I did want to mention, we have a Facebook page. We have over 1 million folks that go here. We're always posting new and current stuff for the Academic Alliance if you're interested in that, to go out there. And then I know Rich is passing out little keys here, but he's going to speak specifically, you know, about the labs and how you can gain access for free to test them out.
I just made the presenter's #1 mistake. I gave a group of instructors who are techies access to a lab while I'm going to present. That is the #1 mistake with you guys.
Suicide here.
I'm killing myself. All right. Here's the thing. There's no way you're going to get through these labs in this next 15 to 20 minutes. But I'm giving them to you so you can leave this building and have them for 2 weeks. That's where your payoff's going to be. I know you're not going to have time to really enjoy it at the level you want because the semester's getting ready to start up. So guess what? I'm going to tell you during our presentation how you can register to get all the lab time you want to try out other things. All right, because I know how it goes. Your holidays are over. Now you got to get ramped up. If you're teaching anything new, you didn't teach it before, you got to spend the next week making sure you do a really good job for your students. Did I get that wrong, or is that about right? Yes. Okay. All right, so what do? Who's NDG? Well, it's not no damn good. Well, if it is, I'm responsible. All right? I actually am running the whole company. So I have techies. We're all techies. We are not a sales organization. We're actually a CSR. Anybody know what CSR is? I'll give you a shirt if you tell me what that is.
Customer service rep.
Pardon me?
Customer service rep.
Nope. Good try though. Corporate social responsibility. It's overused. It's oversold. And we all roll our eyes when we hear it. But we really are trying to do it. Here's what we do. Our mission is to help academic institutions teach IT. Now that sounds a little overblown if you ask me, but that is our simple mission. Those that know us probably are going, yeah, they've really done it. When you first met us in 2001, we helped you implement Cisco Labs. Now we're helping you do cloud, virtualization, ethical hacking, forensics, etc. So I am proud that we've managed to make a good living helping schools, universities, and colleges in over 60 countries in the world teach IT to students. I'm proud of that mission. That's what we do. All right. My goal is to help you position your students to get a job. So I partner with vendors that I know have value to bring to you. Now, does that mean that I'm partnering with every school, every program? No. I'm doing the best I can from the context it costs me money to pay people. So I've got to have an ecosystem, a sustainable model, or it all falls down. And you're shaking your fist at me because you're going to depend on it January 15th when your class started. Make sense? Okay. Now, I don't work with Juniper today. Nick's got a wonderful program, wonderful cloud. That doesn't mean if a vendor's not on my list, it's not a good program, and I don't cooperate or try to help them. And actually, the vendor contacts all meet together and try to figure out how to collaborate. You guys have a regular meeting, right? Where you all talk about how can we do a better job serving these schools. The nice thing about our sector is we really want to serve, and we're not trying to compete and kill each other like we have to when we're selling commercially, right? Make sense? All right, so that's what we're after. So I am trying to help your students get a good return on their investment. Anybody seen this graphic? I love this graphic. How many of you have college-age kids? How many of you are paying tuition right now? When I went to a very good engineering school, North Carolina State University, go Wolfpack, hate the hills. It's irrelevant, but you get my point. I bought my entire education for $6,000. I was hired as an intern to hang magnetic tapes. You know, some of you pop in, you slide them, and then they spin up? You guys remember that? Wow, we're old. Okay, so long story short, my whole education cost me $6,000 from a very reputable computer science and engineering program. Today, that same degree, even at a public university, is going to cost a boatload of money. It's the name of the game now. So those that raise their hand know the pain I'm describing. Now imagine if you're like me. My father was a professor, but he got that credential as PhD when he was almost 40. So he struggled economically. He did not have the money to give me. I paid my own education. A vendor actually paid for it, but it's another story. Long story, I want to help your learners get true jobs. if we look at these guys in an aggregate, there's tons of depth for these students. Why? It's expensive to get a good education. IT is expensive for you to deliver in the classroom. Do we all agree that's our baseline? All right, terrific. Well, what do we want to do? We want to give the learners the skills that matter. Because if you look at these employment and unemployment gaps, I guarantee you, if you've got the skills we're talking about in this room, what is that gap on those bars going to be? It's not going to be unemployed. I'm looking for people that are talented. I want people that know these jobs, these skills. The problem is the skills we need as employers aren't necessarily what are being taught. Do we all agree to that? The entry-level classes are flooded full of students, right? Well, where do you get the job? At the professional level, where you busted your hump and you get a lot of labs to get that credential. Johnny, so what you see with VMware, VCP, you get a job, right? So anyone disagree with what I've said? All right, so that's what we're after. Okay, if we look at the actual statistics against these jobs, check them out here. These numbers in some of these categories actually went down 5 to 10% since last year, since I did these numbers. But these jobs, you can do this job search for your local area. Look at the number of jobs that are open. Guess what happened in the storage area? Anybody teaching storage in the room? You know how many jobs there are in storage right now? If you do a keyword search in your local area for storage, storage is blowing up, but people aren't teaching it. Why? It's the cornerstone of cloud. It's the cornerstone of virtualization. Kids programs around storage, but we're not teaching it. It's 111,000 jobs if you did that job search for the keyword of storage right now. It's a skill that's needed. What we're going to do with our product is try to have one school host the equipment. So Bill's hosting the equipment at his school. Then he can work with any school that he wants to collaboratively to try to share his resources of equipment. We want the haves to share with the have-nots. Here's why we're not doing this as a cloud. Anybody know why we don't do this as a cloud, some of these labs? Cost. If you start putting certain things in the cloud and you talk to anybody that's doing it, somebody's paying for those clicks. The higher you go in the stack of the professional skill set, the more resources you got to dedicate to the student, the higher the cost of the cloud. It will come down. In the next 3 to 5 years, because of competition, all the big players are slamming money into the cloud. The price per click will come down. But right now, if we take that lab environment, we put it online, and we start sharing it, we can aggregate it. We can time share it. We're going to put a scheduling engine in front of it. Then we can do tons of things against one small lab environment. So if you look at all these classes we can support. We can support Cisco, security, forensics, ethical hacking, security plus, VMware virtualization, EMC for the storage, which I strongly recommend you consider if you haven't already. CIS, which is the introduction to virtualization and cloud computing, virtualization being the cornerstone. And then we also do an online Linux course. Anybody use that other than you, Eric? Okay. That Linux course you see at Cisco NetSpace, that was developed by NDG and NDG engineers. It is a cloud service. Why can we do that in the cloud, but these other courses we can't? Cost. Those VMs are going out around the world. They cost a lot of money. I pay the budget into the cloud provider, so I see it. It costs a lot of money. If we did that with the high-end computing courses, I couldn't pull it off. I couldn't get it to scale because of the price. No one will pay what it's worth. All right. So all these are available if you set up that environment. Here's where you can go to try out all these different labs I just highlighted. Register.netdevgroup.com. Please use your school instructor email address. Okay? Why? If you use your Google or your Yahoo or one of your personal emails, somebody's going to come back and go, this is for instructors. Okay? So if you use your school and say you're an instructor, they'll give you the access. All right? Now, here are the courses we support with EMC. The information storage management, it's aligned to a book. The book says EMC Academic Alliance. So we have a copy? Pardon me. EMC Information Storage Management. But here's the neat thing about it. How many of you in the room have looked at this book? Okay, how many of you aren't going to raise your hand no matter what I try to do to get you to raise your hand? One more time. How many of you have looked at this book? Okay, those that have not, it is generic. Why is that really cool? No offense to the vendors, but many vendors have a business model. They want to brand their value to your students. There's nothing wrong with that business model. It's a fair exchange. EMC made the business decision that a lot of the equipment that's described in here, there's no way you're going to be able to put it at your school on the desk in front of the student. It's too expensive. You're going to put fiber channel across every desk at every student? No way. You couldn't do it economically, right? So they're going to teach your student the concept of what those different techniques are, what the hardware is, etc. Then we write very user-friendly labs that allow your student to implement OpenFiler. What's OpenFiler? It's a poor man's sand, right? So they can learn how to play with OpenFiler. Then we teach them about RAID. What's RAID? Well, how many of you know if you go into a Google data center, they're going to have lots of little pizza boxes sitting around. And what are they going to be doing configuring them? They're going to be running RAID, right? Because they lose the data, it's a big deal. So they're going to back up all that data with RAID. All these are relevant concepts, okay? So let's talk an ISM course. The CIS course is going to do something a little different. Cloud Infrastructure Services is going to try to align to a couple things. EMC has got the cert for CIS, so it's an overview of what cloud computing is. At the end, your student can take a cert. But I would argue it's more like a paper test. You're not being tested on any of your, can I configure something? You're being tested on, do you understand what a cloud is? Do you understand what virtualization is, etc. Okay? So what we did was partnered with VMware so that if your students do the labs while they take the course, they can not only get their CIS, but they can get their VCA cert. There are 4 different VCA tracks. Anybody know what those are? Data center, cloud, mobile, network. So there's great value for your learner if they go off and study the VCA, and we'll talk about that more. In fact, this cool shirt I'm wearing, if you like these, I've passed them out in the past. You come to my next session, I'll make sure you get one. No, I'm only kidding. I'll make sure you get a shirt. All right. If you go to this, do a Google search basically on the VMware VCA. These are online videos already set up by VMware for you, so you can marry an introduction to virtualization to any course you're teaching. But if you teach the CIS, this could be extra homework that your students can do, and after they watch the video, they could probably pass the VCA. I would argue they're going to be a paper tiger. Do you want to know what I mean when I say that? When we interview, we do committee interviews, right? Depending on how they're coming to the door. They come in the intern, we're going to be really nice to them. They're going to get a permanent badge. We're mean. I'll just say it, we're mean. Why? Everybody in the room knows that person's going to cost payroll and budget. In the future, if we can't sustain our business models, what's going to happen? Layoffs. People don't want to hire into our team unless they're really going to do a good job and add value. So the interviews are tough, really tough. All right, I bet most employers do that. So for the CIS labs, what we're going to do is introduce your student to RAID first. Does anybody think that's a value when you're talking about cloud and storage? What amazes me is when I'll talk to students and they'll talk to me about virtualization. But then I start asking them basic storage questions, and they look at me with blank stare. They don't know where to start. But why is that a big deal to me? I got a Linux course running in the cloud, right? But I also got all these customers that want to run their own lab environment, or they want to deploy a SAN, or they got questions. If I put them on a support help desk, and you're out talking about virtualization, they can talk virtualization, but they can't talk storage, I probably got a problem. And they're going to probably cost me a lot of money. Why? I got to train them. So I prefer you train them, and then I hire them, right? It's much cheaper for me. Okay. So block level and file storage, backup and recovery concepts, replication and deduplication, and then we're going to introduce vSphere and vCenter. We are not going to be at the VCP level. This is a very high level introduction. That is about a 20 to 30 lab environment learning experience to become an expert with vSphere. Okay? But in most data centers, if you're running a private cloud, you're probably running vSphere. Anybody disagree with that? If you're doing it economically commercial, probably you're running vSphere. Now, Amazon built their own. There's a big movement on OpenStack, CloudStack. Anybody familiar with all these terms I'm pulling out? Yeah, so those movements are happening, but the APIs on this is so advanced, it's easier for you to implement automation. If you go with the open source tools, it's not that they're not valuable, they're very valuable. You're doing a decision as a business against, do I pay for licensing from VMware, or do I pay for labor to run and build my open source, right? If it's big enough, and I can justify the open source, the cost of labor to build it, because I build it, stand it up, I'm done, then I'm going to go open source. if I need to be able to exchange labor in and out the door, I'm probably going to go with a vendor, right, and even pay a license fee because the cost of labor is going to be greater than the cost of the licensing, right? Anybody, does that surprise anyone? That's pretty much what you're doing when you make a decision on how you deploy your cloud. So we're going to make sure your learner knows vSphere and vCenter. Then we're going to go to vSphere Data Store, vSwitches, benefits of vMotion, and then VMware hardware availability and VMware FT. Now, I actually have more labs than this. So we have more labs that go on beyond this into other VCA categories. But if your student does these labs and watches those videos, they're going to pass the VCA Data Center, which I think is of great value to them. Okay? So that's what this library is going to do for you, the ones I just passed out on a piece of paper. All right? Now, I can go lab at a time, but for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of speed through these, and you can see the different value that each lab is going to provide your learner. Now, that little piece of paper I passed out will allow you to do these 9 labs. You go in and you schedule the labs. Now, we have about 10 minutes, so if you want, you can log in. I'll even tell you, if you're the last one to leave the room, I'll make sure you get a shirt. So if you want to start working through your lunch, feel free to do the labs, okay? If you want to walk out and do them later from the hotel, I know you'll all go back tonight and do it at the hotel. I would if I'm in San Fran. So if you want to study this on your own, please feel free. You can also go to this register.netdevgroup.com and get other labs to try out. Now I'm going to go back to this for a second. If you're going to do this here in the room, I recommend you work in teams. Anybody know why I encourage instructors to work in teams? It's my life experience that instructors are some of the worst students in the world because they don't agree. Does anyone disagree? You guys have so much experience. You're like the typical guy that's putting together a bed or anything else. We just grab it and we start putting it together, and then we go back to the instructions when we're missing pieces, right? So that drives me crazy. So I encourage you to work in teams because if you miss a step, the problem with a lot of this technology, if you miss a major step later on, you're going to have problems, right? 3rd or 4th page in. So make sure that you read clearly the lab exercises. All right? Please follow the instructions. Here's something for those of you that's already invested in NetLab. We are building and finalizing a virtual version of NetLab. What does that mean? NetLab can run as a VM. We made the business decision because we're going to convert you to that, to include that as HTML5. And we're going to get rid of Java. Oracle, in my opinion, has allowed that to degrade, unfortunately. Okay, account assignments are on your piece of paper. There's a little code there. It actually aligns to your pod number for this session if you decide to stay in the room. Now, why is that important? There's so many sets of VMs we're passing out. We don't want you to be typing on a virtual machine while somebody else is also typing on it, because then you'd be a little frustrated. So look at that little code, and it'll correspond on your scheduler. Now, outside of this room, that's irrelevant, because when you schedule it, it's not going to be a problem. Nobody's going to overlap on you, okay? It's just in case somebody grabbed the same pod during this session or scheduled the same pod, all right? You're welcome to go in, jump into labs. Kim and I will answer any questions you might have.
I'm also going to collect your business card if you want it. I'll raffle these off. And I also want to let you know that if anybody wants this textbook or the data science one or the cloud or commercial spiral-bound cloud book, you just email me and I'll ship you anything you want for free. Yours to keep, even whether you join the program or not. It's not necessary. And then I also brought some pamphlets. I have business cards here, so I'll pass this out. If anybody wants business cards, I'll just pass them down if you want it. And then also to give me your business card. Of course. If you need another, do you need one more? Yeah. So I'll pass those out. I also have gum I'll pass out if you want some. If you want to pass it down. I always have free gum. Not a sign of anything here, but if you want to get your business card out, then I will. Anybody here want?
Which one do you use? Oh, you're doing it on your laptop.
You want one? Okay, let me give you one more then.
I can help you.
I do have another. I use this learning to see.
All right, guys, if you want a shirt, I've got plenty of VMware shirts. I am going to hold some of these for my next session. So if you really want a shirt, all I ask is get the word out about these programs. A lot of people don't know the business value of teaching storage. A lot of folks are underestimating the value of your students being taught VMware. It has big business value for your students. All right, anybody else can use XXL with a VMware? There we go. I'm out of XXLs, so sorry about that. All right, I got plenty of XLs, plenty of larges. Brent, will you pass these out as people are walking out? So Brent will make sure you get a VMware shirt as you're walking out, or I can throw a few to you now. It's all good. I know you want to take them back to your peers and your students. I don't have enough for that, so please just take one of each, if you will, and we'll go from there. All right, anybody got questions for Kim on? I know there's one. Go ahead. I couldn't tell you the date. Our CTO, Rich Lucas, will have to tell you the date. I want it tomorrow. So if you ask me, I'm going to screen 60 years ago. You're going to tell me on this thing. So I don't think it's coming. But I've been pushing for it for a year.
Okay, down here.
And that's going to be coming up. And then already
yeah, you can already implement HTTPS. You don't realize that. The NetLab is already set up. There's a beta version of HTTPS. You can set it up.
on your existing. So I can do it on your
Okay, are you guys there?
I'd like to get that.
Yeah.
Okay, down the card. Anybody need it here?
Here's the shirt, right?
Okay, I know Bill already has. You already have it. You still haven't seen my card, Johnny?
Any other questions?
Hold on, I'm almost good. Everybody else with your business card, don't forget before you leave.
I'll get your laptop, or go to register.netredgroup.com, and you can just fill out the form and you get all the accounts you need.
No, that's for there.
Okay. Kim, are you going to do your raffle?
I am. If everybody who wants to be in the raffle or needs a business card to write on to be in the raffle, I can give you one. Before I get you on, write out one of mine. I have to put them on my card. Otherwise, if you put them on paper, I know it's not normal. So I have to have it on a card. Did everybody get something to write on that wants to be in? You want to be in? Okay, I have 2 books, but you know you want to pay as well.
All right, a couple of questions. How many of you teach in ethical hacking?
Anybody else?
Bill, ethical hacking. How many teach in forensics?
It's going to be.
Going to be teaching forensics? Okay. How many of you teach in Security Plus? The old cert or the new cert? The new cert. Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. What classes do you need the most that aren't covered today? There's virtualization, EMC cloud.
Okay.
What do you need? I'd love to have an answer to that. So you guys give me that feedback. I'll tell you, I'm talking to Palo Alto on the cybersecurity lab library. I'm talking to Red Hat on advanced Linux. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know.
We're going to do the raffle. We're going to do the Zoom drive first, since that's, and I know they're also going to raffle one of these overall for the conference. I gave one to them, and another book. I'll let you pick.
Oh.
He can be my Vanna. Okay, the winner is Rick. You got it. And then we'll let Rich do the other 2 for the books too. These are light, by the way. I know most of you are hopefully local or not traveling far anyways. Bruce Weaver got one, and the other one goes to Anthony Pagan. Pentagon. Sorry, excuse me. I should know that with the accent mark there. Okay. What I'm going to do is anyone who puts their card in here, I'll email you as a conference follow-up. Usually I'll send you the links to the free e-learning courses, the 2 free e-learning courses, and then I'll offer to send you the book. But even though you have your addresses on here, sometimes I don't trust them if I'm going to mail books, so I'll usually be like, confirm your mailing address before I send out books, just because there, can typically be little hiccups with that. But any and all questions, you can email me. I also have a couple pamphlets here. If anybody wants one, you can pick one up on your way. They have the course outlines in there, and I also have more gum, so feel free to take some gum. More gum if you like the gum, and I know Rich is going to do something with the shirts, yeah?
Yes. Brent's going to have the VMware shirts, and I'm going to have the I teach techies and I love it.
I don't know about you guys, but I love what I do because I think there's a multiplier effect, especially in economically challenged parts of the world where we've helped people get jobs. So I appreciate what you guys do. And who knows, the way the industry's changing rapidly, I may be back at one of your colleges in a few years getting educated. So thanks for what you do, guys. I got a shirts for you because I like the one I have on. Rick's got the VMware shirts for you. So please only take one so others have an opportunity.
Thank you guys all for coming.